Pochettino has been sacked by Chelsea, or it's agreed on mutual terms. It doesn't matter. What are we doing, Chelsea? Why? Can we have one normal day at Chelsea, please? Just one. It's not too much to ask, but apparently it is. I'm coming home soaked like a drowned rat, running home due to the news that Pochettino has gone. Mutual consent. We've ended the season really well. 5 wins on the trot. We started to play a bit more football. We're looking more fluid. The players are looking like they're gelling more together. And then we decide to get rid of him. And the thing is, I'm not even massively against this decision. In fact, a number of times throughout the season, I backed it. I wanted him gone. There were a number of times you could have sacked him. It could have been after that pathetic United loss. It could have been the loss to Liverpool in the Cup. It could have been Middlesbrough when we lost to them. It could have been after Wolves hammered us. It could have been after Arsenal hammered us. But you decided to part by mutual consent at the end of the season when we've actually begun to build some momentum. It just seems senseless to me in that regard. But I'm not as massively against the decision if you get it right in terms of who you bring in. But my worry is they won't do that. And my worry is, why you get rid of him now when you could have got rid of him at points that made sense? Make it make sense. People going nuts over the idea of sacking Poch specifically. Look, I get it. We ended the season well. We began to click, but let's call a spade here. Chelsea are a better team than Aston Villa and should have been achieving more points than Aston Villa anyway. It took him till April to make that switch of making Cucurella invert, us playing a lot better as a result, getting some results to build a bit of, a bit of momentum to make the table look less horrible. Because the reality is the table was horrible under Poch for a lot of the season. We should have been higher than we were. We should have got more points than we did. And we should have got more out of the players throughout the season than we did. However, it did start to turn. The tide did start to turn, and that's where my confusion lies. Like, realistically, getting rid of him to upgrade isn't the worst idea in the world. But if your idea of upgrading is bringing in that spiky-haired Italian from Brighton because they're so obsessive with Brighton, then I don't even know what to make of it anymore. I know people love it. It's all fancy. It's all, oh, he knows where all the players need to be. He knows that. Okay, they're 17th in the second half of the table, Brighton. They were 17th for the last 19 games. 17th. That's not what we're aspiring to be. That's not the manager we need to have. And then we're linked with McKenna. Don't get me wrong. Back-to-back promotions at Ipswich is very impressive. Have we not learned, though? Like, McKenna might be a better coach than Potter, but it doesn't mean you just jump in two-footed and take the Ipswich manager, the guy that came second in the Championship. So if those are the candidates, get fucked. We're not having that. If you've done this to bring in Tuchel, I'm all right with it. I'll tell you why. Because Pochettino, supposedly, the reason for this breakdown and the mutual consent parting is due to Poch wanting a say in a lot of the transfers. Now, across many clubs, you've seen Arne Slot actually have this sorted with Liverpool. He hasn't got a say in transfers. Most clubs, that's how they operate. And if Pochettino wanted that and they didn't want to give that to him, okay, I can understand that. But the problem is, when you first got rid of Thomas Tuchel, one of the best managers Chelsea's had, Thomas Tuchel didn't want anything to do with transfers, and these guys were WhatsApping him 24/7, asking about Ronaldo playing in 4-4-3s. So why don't you bring back Tuchel because he's happy to work under under that. We don't have to worry about Tuchel's talent ID that's notoriously dodgy. That's why Eric Dyer is at Bayern. But he can just cook with the squad and coach with the squad and bringing Thomas Tuchel back. In terms of a PR spin, I think everyone actually get on board with that one. That one actually makes sense. As for other names that are going to be linked, Xavi, I'm kind of open to that one. It's probably too early for Cesc. Xabi Alonso will not be happening. Nagelsmann after a Euros, I don't think will be happening. Although, the thing is, for them to part like this makes me think they have got someone lined up. But I'm hoping that's Thomas. I am praying, I'm on my knees for Thomas. That could be Thomas. I know I've said before, guys, that I dream of Diego Simeone. That would be insane. Inzaghi from Inter Milan would be insane. This is the thing. These are the guys. I'm listing calibers of managers that make this parting completely okay. And I get people upset because we were building towards the end of the season. But like I said, let's also call a spade a spade. Look at the whole season and the fact that Chelsea have very good players that should be above some of the clubs that were behind. Like, Poch should have had a better season than Ange in theory. Our players are better than Spurs' players. They lost Harry Kane. It was his first year too. Like, come on now. They finished above us. They're not exactly this amazing team we're aspiring to be. So let's not lose our minds in that regard. But the problem is what they bring in. And if it's just some fancy name, not even a fancy name, essentially what it would be their versions of signings where they're like, let's take an FM Wonder kid, but an FM Wonder manager in McKenna. Like, do not do that. Please do not do that. Deserby, yeah, no thanks. Elite Gaffer's only club, please. That's all that makes sense for them to have come to this decision. And I get they want someone that wants to work with under their strategy and their transfers, not the manager's transfers. I get all that. But you had that and you got rid of it. So maybe bring it back. We don't have a normal day at this club. We do not. I can't just have like a normal day. It's honestly, Chelsea Football Club, there's nothing more chaotic. There really isn't a club more chaotic, honestly. And I don't even think this is... People will make this into like, oh, we're a mess, we're this. And I get why people might think that. But as I said, I can see why he's gone. Like, we all kind of wanted him gone at some point, long before they've done this. So, you know, he's ended the season well. But he's not some manager that it's impossible to upgrade on. And not only that, I've watched managers like Tuchel be sacked in the past. I've watched Ancelotti get sacked in the tunnel after coming second. You know, like, I've watched Mourinho get sacked twice. Like, I've watched better managers than Poch get the sack at Chelsea and achieve a lot more than Poch did at Chelsea and still get the sack. Even Conte won the league, and the following season he won the FA Cup and came fifth. And that wasn't enough. He was gone. So, you know, losing Pochettino is not the be-all and end-all. I think people are going maybe a bit overboard or will go a bit overboard about this. But either way, it just looks interesting. It just looks unknown. And I thought we were going for the whole stability. Right, let's give this guy another year. End of the season. Well, they're starting to grow a bit. Like, Poch was never going to be the long-term guy. Just a spoiler alert for you guys. Like, Poch was never going to win us the league or Champions League. In my head, I was like, oh, okay, maybe he's earned the fact that I don't think there's loads out there, so just give him another year. Like, his contract was up in a year's time. That was the time where I thought, okay, the squad would have moved along enough then. Then you give it to a proper gaffer, you know, then you go and give it to a winner. But maybe they're just doing that now. Well, they better be doing it now. Like, don't give me some... Don't you McKenna me. Do not McKenna me. I'll be your enemy if you McKenna me. I'm not having it. I'm not having some fucking tractor boy who's taken them from League One. I get it. Cool story. Amazing story. Crack on, Kieran. Maybe the Brighton job's for you or whatever. Like, Chelsea have to make their next move very wisely. This is a bold strategy, Carton. Like, for us to get rid of him in our best patch of the season. Make no mistake, the best we've been playing has been the last 5 games. There have been loads of patches where even despite wins, the performances stank. And he goes now. It just seems bizarre to me in that regard. I'm trying to make sense of the whole thing. Like I said, I'm not even massively against it. Like, my feeling in regards to Poch, kind of behind closed doors, so to speak, I was kind of waiting when I was seeing these stories the last day or two. I felt pretty indifferent. I've seen better men walk out of Chelsea, better men sacked. I've seen better seasons from Chelsea. I've seen worse seasons from Chelsea. So I kind of just looked at it as like, well, on the whole, throughout the season, there was a number of times I wanted you gone, but well done for the ending. Maybe you can have another year. And if you overperform that, maybe you'll stay. But like, I kind of thought, get us top 4 next year, and then maybe get the elite gaffer in. So I don't really feel, I'm not going to be sitting there crying myself to sleep because Pochettino's gone. Put it that way. But at the same time, I probably wouldn't have chosen to get him gone, depending on who you bring in. That's my worry. My worry is with these owners because a number of the appointments have been questionable. Poch is the least questionable appointment they've made, and it was still really questionable. Like, that's a bit of a concern, naturally. Just fucking bring me my Tuchel, or bring me Simeone or Inzaghi. Do not stress me out, Chelsea. Don't you dare bring that spiky haired man. Spiky haired man passing triangles. XG to file. I do not need him. I do not need that. I do not need spiky hair man. And they love Brighton, don't they? They do really love Brighton. Oh, or Honus. I'm not going to lie. I don't know who this Honus geezer is. I don't know enough about him. I know people will be like, what do you mean? Do you not watch the Bundesliga? I don't really know. I watch maybe the odd Bayern game. I do not watch loads of Bundesliga, so I don't know about Honus, all right? What I do know is the managers that have been presented, I'm like, can we just get someone we feel a bit more comfortable with? Xavi's like my outside middle ground where I'm like, okay, did win the league at Barca. He's still risky. It's still risky. It's not exactly gone amazingly at Barca, but like he's still done a decent-ish job. He won stuff, you know. Yeah, weird, bizarre, weird timing, man. We don't even. Our season's not technically done. Like, we don't even know if we're playing Europa or Conference League football next year because the FA Cup. I mean, realistically, City should win the FA Cup, which would mean Chelsea will play Europa League. But if United win that, we win Conference League. So, like, even hiring a manager right now, they don't exactly know what we're even playing in. Unless it's Thomas. It's Thomas, isn't it, guys? We got Super Tommy Tuchel. He knows exactly what we need. Maybe it's Thomas, isn't it? Thomas doesn't care what Europe we have. He just wants to come home and win European trophies. That's what he does. That's what he wants to do. Oh, please swallow your pride. Please, please, please. I swear to God. I don't trust them to do this, by the way. I'm trying to convince myself as well as convince you guys. Jesus, look at this shite. I'm trying to convince myself because otherwise I can't really make sense of it. I'm like, who are you going for then? Like, who are you going for that will be available? It just seems bizarre. And also, if they don't have the exact person they want lined up right now, my question would be, what makes you think you'll get it right if you don't have them lined up yet? Because all three of the people you've brought in have been people that you didn't want to retain. So, what makes you think suddenly you'll arrive on number 4 bingo? Unless it is the original, just the OG. Please. I just keep saying, I'm sorry guys, I'm lost for words. I had a really hectic day. I wasn't planning on making a video in the slightest, if I'm honest. I've run home in the rain as a result of hearing this news. I'm still stunned. Chelsea, you continue to stun me. You never bore me. That's one thing you don't do. You never bore me. 5 wins on the trot, the best part of the season. Get him gone. Is the history of the Chels. This is what we do, man. This is what we do. So, I guess we'll see. I'll have a look at some potential candidates tomorrow. Maybe we'll do a video on that. I've probably just sat here waxing lyrical about Super Tommy Tuchel, but that's just the way I'm kind of feeling at the moment. I'm like, I don't really know what other reasoning you've done this for, and he is available, so it would make sense. Oh, imagine that though. That would hit like crack. Imagine Thomas Tuchel club statement. Oh my god. Guys, I might nut. That, honestly, I might just explode if that came out. This is all going very euphemism. But I would be very happy, and I think a lot of Chelsea fans would, if that was the case. If they McKenna, or if they Spike, yeah, man. I'm repeating myself at this point anyway. But let me know what you guys think of this decision. Let me know what you guys think Chelsea are going to appoint, who we're going to appoint, what do we think they're doing. Yeah, make sure hit like, hit subscribe. All that stuff helps me out a lot. And we need all the help we can get here at Chels because it's just fucking chaos FC, alright? Up the Chels.